We need to revive the spirit of bipartisanship in this country. I know that sounds bizarre in light of where we are. The spirit of being able to work with one another. When I say that, and I said that from the time I announced, I was told that maybe that was the way things used to work, Joe. You got a lot done before, Joe, but you can't do that anymore. Well, I'm here to tell you and say we can. And we must if we're going to get anything done. Democracy requires consensus. I'm running as a proud Democrat, but I will govern as an American president.
That was then candidate Joe Biden 1 month before the 2020 election. Now, fast forward to today, and despite all the divisions we hear about in Washington, all we see, all we read about, President Biden and congressional leaders have been able to deliver on a number of bipartisan results since his inauguration. And let me just say, that was Joe Biden in 2020. I will tell you, and we talked about it a good bit on this show, in 2021 and even early into 2022, you actually had people on both sides mocking Joe Biden, saying, oh, you know, he's an old man. He's a man out of time. Maybe that worked when he was in the Senate. It doesn't work now. And it wasn't just Republicans or people in the media saying it. It was a lot of progressives in his own party saying you can't work with Republicans. Democrats and Republicans can't work together to get anything done these days. Well, with us now, senior editor for the New York Times, David Leonhardt. He argues in a new piece that this unexpected cooperation could be attributed to a new age of centrism. David, I just want to read part of this that jumped out at me yesterday when I was reading the Times. In a country that's supposed to have been gridlocked federal government the past 4 years are hard to explain. These years have been arguably the most productive period of Washington bipartisanship in decades, and it has been since the Clinton era. Under President Biden, you write, bipartisan majorities have passed major laws on infrastructure and semiconductor chips, as well as laws on veterans' health, gun violence, the postal service, the aviation system, same-sex marriage, anti-Asian hate crimes, and the electoral process. On trade, the Biden administration has kept some of the Trump administration's signature policies and even expanded them. The trend continued over the past month with the bipartisan bill to Ukraine and, of course, the TikTok issue. So, David, listen, this is extraordinary, and you try to explain that there's a common thread that runs through a lot of this legislation.
There is. I mean, that does not sound like a gridlocked country, does it, or a gridlocked Washington?
No, it doesn't. No.
And I think the common thread is that we see on both the left and the right, both in the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, a new skepticism about what people often describe as neoliberalism or the Washington consensus. There was this idea in the 90s and early 2000s that we're going to do free market economics and it's going to make America prosperous and China free. And those predictions sort of went 0 for 2. Our economy has been struggling, particularly for middle class and working class people, for decades. And obviously, this sort of world of more open markets has not led to a freer China or freer Russia. And so for all the problems we have, for all the threats to democracy that, as you've been covering, Donald Trump represents in many ways, for all the problems we have, we do have this shared recognition among large parts of the Democratic Party and some parts of the Republican Party that the government needs to do more, both to help people in this country and to take on our foreign rivals. And I use the word neo-populism, which is deliberately meant to kind of play off neoliberalism. And I think that's what we see in a lot of these bills.
David, in reading your piece, probably 3,000 words, filled with insight, filled with accuracy, I couldn't help but think that all of the programs that have been passed with bipartisan effort that you pointed out, that there's not as much gridlock as most people think in Washington, D.C., yet still, out in the country, the legislation that used to be aimed at helping people grow their families, do a little bit better, that is still seemingly not there as much as it ought to be. And I'm wondering, do you think Horatio Alger is dead?
Well, Horatio Alger was always a little bit exaggerated. I don't think he's dead. But look, Joe Biden has not turned around the American economy 180 degrees. These things take a long time. We're still going to need a lot more policies to help workers. I think labor unions play an important role, and labor unions are still very much on the defensive. I think education plays an important role, and our education system has terrible problems exacerbated by the school closures during COVID. And so I'm not suggesting that everything's great. What I would instead say is I think we've seen a little bit of a turning point here. And the question is, does it continue to the point where Americans actually are experiencing meaningful improvements in their living standards? That's not going to happen on a presidential campaign timetable, but it could happen eventually.
David, when I read your piece, the question that I wanted to raise, and I'm thankful I have the opportunity to raise it to you directly, is that there has been a lot done in a bipartisan way, yet both parties don't emphasize this bipartisanship. Do you think it's because on the right and the left, the liberal and the conservative, the fear of being called sellouts by the extremists, so they kind of quietly do this, which is for the good of all, but don't tell anybody almost?
I do think that's part of it. And look, just to be a little bit critical of my own industry, I think some of it is that we in the media cover conflict, right? And so conflict tends to get a lot of the attention, whereas when you actually see consensus and legislating, it gets less attention. I mean, you know, one interesting example here is President Biden's most popular accomplishments are these things on health care, lowering health care costs. Those were a partisan bill. Republicans did not vote for them. But Republicans have very skillfully basically spent very little time criticizing that bill, I think because they understand if they criticize it, it would lead to conflict and it would get more attention. And they don't want it to get more attention because of how popular it is.
So, David, let's move beyond the Beltway a little bit here. Are you seeing this in the states as well? State houses, city halls, state legislatures, this move towards centrism? And if so, do we think that those officials may someday carry that with them to Washington as well?
I mean, I think states and cities have always been better at finding bipartisan solutions and solutions that are a little less driven by these national divisive issues than Washington is. So what I would say that we see real agreement around the country on, and this is an issue that's tough for Democrats, is immigration. You see both Democratic governors and Republican governors and mayors saying, hey, our border is broken. And that is something that has been arguably the Biden administration's biggest domestic failure, their inability to solve that border problem. And you see from both Democrats and Republicans around the country this basically pleading to Washington, please solve this issue. We cannot deal with these levels of migration that we've been having in Denver, in Chicago, in New York, and obviously along the southern border.
Senior writer for the New York Times, David Leonhardt, thank you so much for coming in. Great piece. We appreciate it. And next.